Hello, and welcome back to Ontology Explained. I'm Casey Hart, philosopher and ontologist, and this is the fourth installment of our Let's Build a Chess Ontology video series. I'm going to try and be a little more productive today, which is not to say that the past videos weren't productive, but I spent a lot of time sort of talking about here's my thought process on this. Of course, famous last words. Now I'm going to run into stuff that's difficult and then it's going to fail, or I'm going to bloviate and take forever. But I want to be like a little more like let's just get some stuff in as part of the ontology so we can really get some development going. Drop below in the comments and let me know if my pacing is about right for this. I want you all to get to see a bunch of good stuff, but also not go so fast that you can't enjoy it. But that said, if I go a little faster, you can always slow down, pause, whatever, review it. So hopefully the pacing today is about right. Off camera, I did make at least one change here. It was a small one, but if you had, for whatever reason, gone to the Git repo and pulled it down, you would have found that the ontology didn't compile, and that was because I think it was an extra semicolon I had here. But the reason I caught that is when I was deciding to integrate this with my upper ontology and then view it in Protege, some stuff wasn't loading because, oh yeah, I just needed to validate the turtle file, and so I found that error. Which brings me to the other part here, which is in the master ontology. This is sort of like my core upper ontology that pulls in a bunch of domain ontologies. I'm also including the chess ontology as one of the things that I pull in, which means that if we look over here, we can see all of these things tied together. So look, FIDE rating is a part of this upper ontology, or if I look at situations, events, we got chess games and chess openings show up in here. So this is now where I can kind of think about, okay, where in the hierarchy do I want these things to show up? And that's maybe some of the work that we'll do today. In fact, the first thing that I want to do is think about like what kind of thing a FIDE rating is. So if we pop back over here and go to the chess ontology, and let's just look for FIDE rating. I think I only mentioned it here that it has an amount, which is a FIDE rating. So I should probably also create a FIDE rating, which is going to be a class. And it's going to be a class similar to some of the other types of amounts that I have. So let's see here. I want a FIDE rating to be an amount. It's some quantity that somebody has, right? Magnus Carlsen has a height. He has a weight. And he has a FIDE rating. Now, it's a little bit different, right? Height is going to be a distance, and his weight is going to be a mass. Like, what kind of thing is a FIDE rating going to be? And your FIDE rating is essentially, I think of it as like, we could think of it like a score or something like that, or like it's a quantity that gives me some sort of probability measure for how likely you are to beat somebody else based on theirs. And for that, I think something like statistical amounts that I have is going to be the right thing to do here. There's some other statistical amounts, but let's just read my comment here so that we can see if this fits. A statistical amount is the class of all quantities that can contextualize the value of another amount in virtue of how that measure is situated within the population of observations that it stems from, like data spreads, standard deviation, variance, as well as percentiles. So, for example, I could have like the standard deviation of 0.3. So I could have like my height of 6'2" maybe has like a standard deviation, which is like there's some fluctuation in my height over time, and it's a relatively small value. So my amount that is my height could also have itself an amount, which is its deviation. And this makes me think again, like, okay, is it plausible to say that there's like Magnus Carlsen has a FIDE rating. That FIDE rating is some statistical amount. I guess I could create like a probability. I could also think about this being a count. So your count is just a count of some things, right? So like I could say this basket has 7 apples in it, right? It has some amount. And that amount is of 7. Maybe a FIDE rating, like is that kind of thing. I don't know. It's not obvious to me. Maybe I just create a new type of amount, which is a rating. And this rating could be like ordinal, like a grade. So to give someone, like associate someone with an A, B, C, D in a class, like that feels like the kind of thing that you're doing when you give someone a FIDE rating as well. It's just sort of like an evaluation of goodness or something like that. Maybe we have like an evaluative amount. This is kind of tricky. Maybe I'll just go with a rating. Let's create a rating, see what happens. Okay, So I'm going to go to my master ontology, honestly, for this. Turtle mode, make it a little bigger here. And then let's go down. So this includes all my properties. Let's see if I've got find the right place to put this in the file. All right, here's some amounts. So I want a rating, right, which is going to be all right, here's rate. Let's put rating down here. So rating, which is a subclass of amounts, and lexical is just going to be rating. So what is this? Rating is the class of all amounts that score or evaluate the thing's performance or potential performance on some task. This includes things like grades and ELO ratings. So an example subclass here might be a grade or a FIDE rating. So now that I've got that, then I can go back to my chess.ttl, and I'm going to create FIDE rating here. And it's a subclass of rating. And now I see that my whatever my underlying program here for capitalization makes that look weird. So these are all the ratings that are given by by FIDE, the International Chess Federation, that score a person's chess skills and are used to calculate win probabilities. Okay, let's go ahead and see what that looks like here. So this will reload. Cool. And so now we have rating here, and under rating we have FIDE rating, which is defined. You might notice in this is still like bold is for stuff that is defined in the file that are that we're currently using. And so this is looking at the master ontology file. So since FIDE rating is defined in another file, although it's imported, it's not just showing up there. I realized maybe I should move myself around a little bit on the screen so that I'm not blocking that upper right-hand corner. Cool. Okay. So now let's pop back over to... I'll move myself back up. Okay. So what's the stuff that we want to do? You know, one thing I also want to do here is we've got Magnus Carlsen defined, and I just want to take a second in memoriam to remember Daniel Naroditsky. If you are a chess fan at all, you will not be surprised by the mention of his name. He's another content creator who maybe makes the best educational videos on any topic that I've ever seen. He recently passed away. There are some, sad circumstances around his death, including his being bullied and accused of cheating in all evidence says wrongfully. Just super sad, gone too soon. He was not only a phenomenal chess content creator and one of the absolute best commentators on chess, was also just a ridiculously good chess player in like fast time controls like bullet and especially like top 5, top 10 player, even more or less like retired in that speed format. Just crazy good. So yeah, Danya, rest in peace, man. Okay, so let's give him a FIDE rating too. Value, and I don't honestly know what he was, like probably 2618 or something like that. I'm gonna look it up here in just a second. Okay, let me go into my browser over here. Daniel Naroditsky, FIDE, profile, born in 95. Jeez, too young. Standard was 2619. That is ridiculously close. And when was that measured? It says it's inactive, so I don't know when that was measured. I'm just going to leave off the claim about when it's measured. That's fine. Okay, there we go. So Danya's in our game, or in our chess ontology, and now if we look at our named individuals here, we'll see a few more, including, look at that, I got Georgia, got gas shows up as a state of matter. I've got, where are you? Daniel Naroditsky. Cool. All right. It says that he's got some amount, which it doesn't list here. It's curious. I don't know why it doesn't display, because it's in a blank note, I guess. Or maybe it's how it's pulled over. That's kind of interesting. Okay. Let's get to some more, just get some more content into the ontology. And what we want to do is continue the thing that we were doing with the Queen's Gambit last time, right? So we want to say something like Queen's Gambit is a chess opening associated with a certain board state. And we wanted to make chess move a class, move sequence a class, move order a functional property specifying a move sequence. Okay. And we want to talk about moving piece. All right, cool. So we've got Queen's Gambit here. Queen's Gambit is a class of all openings that start with this move sequence. Okay. And then what we want to do is figure out, okay, that's in the comments, right? But I don't want to just have it in the comments. I want to have Queen's Gambit as a actually related using the properties that I created, right? Like using this move order piece. So move order example, we say Queen's Gambit accepted has a move order of this. That was what I suggested. So move order relates us from a chess game to a, oh, this is why I said to rework. By the way, if you're watching these like in sequence and streaming them, then I will look incredibly dumb here because it's been like 3 weeks since I last looked at this, even though I've been thinking about it. And so now I am caught up to where you probably were already caught up after just watching video 3. Apologize for any annoyance that causes. Okay, so move order, we wanted to go instead, so from a chess game, but here I suggested, so we've got chess move a class. What do I want to do here? So that was saying for any given game that we would associate it, but we don't need it to be a whole game. We might want it as like a board state or something like that, or an opening. Actually, it's just not any board game. It's like a portion of a chess game. So let's see here. What are my options here? So Queen's Gambit is a chess opening, and chess opening is a subclass of event. And so maybe we just want a move order. Maybe we want something else between chess opening and events. That's like a chess game portion or something like that. So a chess game is just like a completed thing, but a chess game is going to have sub events, right? Like in its first sub event is going to be a chess opening. And then a chess game is more than just a sequence of moves. Maybe the chess opening is just a sequence of moves. Well, it's identified with its sequence of moves. So chess opening also includes, like, is the portion of the game, it follows the rules of the game and stuff like that. Chess game includes the rules of the game and the players and things. But we also, a chess game is not just the moves, but is strongly identified with the list of the moves that are happening. Okay. So I want to say that, and this, by the way, I said I was going to be like super productive here and not just like bloviate a ton. But let's be honest, this is how I do ontologies and build them. The thing that I'm thinking about here, like, there's two approaches. One approach is the like understand the worldview approach first. Like, once I feel like I've got a full grip on here's what's going on, then I make my ontology that matches that. The alternative approach is just like a functional one. That's like, look, I'm going to say Queen's Gambit, and I need to connect Queen's Gambit with this move sequence, right? And so I can say that every Queen's Gambit is a chess opening, and they are also ones that are they're all chess openings that have a move order. So it'll just be like owl on property, move order, owl some has value 1 d4 d5 2 c4. So I could just define it like that, right? And say, okay, what is Queen's Gambit? Queen's Gambit are the chess openings that start this way. And I was like, all right, I'm not even quite sure what the semantics of move order is yet. I'm not quite sure what Queen's Gambit is yet, but I know that there has to be some tight connection between Queen's Gambit and this string. And I can sort of create that and say, okay, now functionally, since those, I need to have all of those pieces connected in this kinds of way, now let's think about the semantics. Now let's think about what is move order such that this stuff is true, right? So that means in an individual game that I've played, or an individual chess opening, is a Queen's Gambit opening. Why? Because it has that move order, right? So move order is a relationship between a portion of a chess game. So the domain here is chess game. It's a chess move sequence. It's a relationship between a chess event. So it's going to be something like this. Means that okay. So whenever you have a chess event and you have a move sequence, that says that there is a this move order relates you to a sub portion of that game. And it's not going to be Queen's Gambit accepted. It's going to be like 04, 04. So a particular game has that move order. And what it means to say that something is the Queen's Gambit or the Queen's Gambit accepted is that all Queen's Gambit accepted games are linked with a move order property to something like that. That I don't hate. Okay, let's Maybe move sequence is better. I don't know. All right, let's see what this updated version is. See if I broke anything. Good, I didn't. We've got chess event, which is like, wait, what the heck is a chess event? I actually haven't defined it yet. But if I look at events, so situations, events, chess openings, Queen's Gambit. Queen's Gambit are ones that have move orders of that. And that's not bad. So now I can also go to, now maybe I'll tweak this eventually. I'll think more about the semantics, but let's just start running with this and see what we can do here. So now I've got the Queen's Gambit, right? And then I also want to create the Queen's Gambit accepted. So Queen's Gambit accepted is a owl class, RDFS label, Queen's Gambit accepted, Scos pref label, Queen's Gambit accepted, RDFS subclass of, and every Queen's Gambit accepted is a Queen's Gambit. And so it takes the offered pawn on c4. And this one are going to be this, and I'm actually just going to reuse this portion. Okay, and it's c4, and then it's d takes c4. Right, that's the kind of stuff that I wanted to be able to say here. Cool. Okay, let's see what that looks like here. So now I've got Queen's Gambit, which expands to a Queen's Gambit accepted. Okay, now is it right to say that every Queen's Gambit accepted is a Queen's Gambit? I think so. And the way I'm defining what it means to be a Queen's Gambit accepted is to be something that has this move order in it. So everything that has this move order also has this move order, which is true. It just means that they both include sub-events. So really the semantics for having a move order in a game is to say that it includes some sub-events, right? A portion of that event is one in which these sequence of moves were made. And that could be from the beginning of the game to some point. That could be a middle part of the game, anything like that. And the only thing that has me a little uncomfortable here is, in general, I don't like strings, right? And this is a very stringy thing, so that's maybe a worry. But we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Maybe we want to relate these sorts of strings to actual entities at some point here too. So then the next thing that we need to do, honestly, is I want to create some database that, or find some database. I guess I don't need to create it, but I want to create a bunch of openings, right? I want to get the Queen's Gambits and the like various traps that can show up. I want to get the Roy Lopez. I want to get the Four Knights opening. I want to get some defensive positions like the Petrov or something. So now that I have this structure, right, that I can say, okay, here's how I represent an opening. I represent an opening by saying what it is, getting some lexical information about it, and saying it's a subclass of, has a move order, and then puts that move order in it. Then I can generate all of the, like, if I get some more data, I can generate a bunch of representations that look like this, and then I can try and leverage them in some way. Okay, so I think this is actually a pretty decent spot to call this video, because now I actually feel like I know what that stuff is. So I have that the Queen's Gambit is a chess opening. Now, do I associate it with a board state? Actually, I don't know if I have associated with a board state yet, have I? So we have this board state is all possible configurations. That's true. And we have the initial board state, which is just like how you set up a board. There's a relationship between move order and board state, right? Because if you have a move order that starts from position, it will take you from the initial position and it will show you the sequence of things that you can do to generate the new board state. So a Queen's Gambit accepted is when I just say, what is the Queen's Gambit accepted? That is a little bit ambiguous, right? Part of it is just the event in which someone played a sequence of moves, or you might mean it's what the board looks like after those moves have been played. And I haven't yet quite talked about that board state, although I don't know if it's that important for me to talk about the board state because what we really care about are the sequence of moves here. There might be some other things like puzzles or whatever where I would describe the board state rather than describing the set of moves that results in the board state. But that's a thing to think about. So I'm not actually too worried about that. I think my concern to have the association with the board state is maybe not as important. Do I have chess move as a class, move sequence as a class, functional property? I didn't want move order to be a functional property. Let me briefly say why I don't want it to be a functional property. A functional property is something that anything that has that property can stand into exactly one relationship with something. Well, sorry, that's the wrong way to phrase it. A functional property is something where when you stand in that functional property to something, that is the only thing that could appear in that other slot, right? So if you are like in talking about like monogamous marriage or something like that, where like I can only be married to one other person, then by married to is a functional property, right? Within that context. There's only one other thing that shows up in the other slot of the married to relationship for me, and that happens to be Nicole. We can have things like my social security number, right, has SSN, can be a functional property that takes and points us to exactly that one output. But here, I don't want it to be functional because a given game has a bunch of different move sequences in it because we can just chop up the move sequence to any of the other possible subsets. And precisely because I want every Queen's Gambit accepted to be a Queen's Gambit, that means every Queen's Gambit accepted has at least two different move sequences that I've defined, right? It has to have d4, d5, c4, d takes a c4. It also has to have d4, d5, c4. So that's not functional. Okay, so that's gone. I might want to talk about moving a piece, capturing a piece, checkmating opponent. Those are all great things to do that I haven't done yet. But now I've got next. Get a database table structured data of chess openings. And then we're going to show an ETL to get that data into the ontology. Okay, so next time I'll do this like off camera. I will get that data set and then I won't do anything else with it, but I will show you here's that data set and here's how we can convert that data set into stuff that looks like Queen's Gambit accepted, which I think this is a great opportunity for us to talk about Sparkle Anything. So we'll do that next time, which is like one of my most favorite and frequent workflows. That's going to be fun. Okay, and I will do that one very soon because now I'm back on track with this and I'm excited to do it. So maybe I'll do that tonight after I pick up the kids. All right, see you guys later. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Build together, and I will upload this video and upload the this file, this updated version, to the Git repo. All right, bye everybody. Till next time.